What if the closest to safe haven is the one you create within four walls? There is a rare, enveloping silence which only happens when you are home, not the hollow quiet of boredom or the hurting emptiness of loneliness, but a soothing, soul-calming quiet which enwraps you like a soft blanket. It's the purr of the fridge in the background, the gentle tick of a clock keeping time, and the realization, suddenly, that in this instant the world does not require you to be anywhere else. This is not loneliness, it's peace, a holy pause wherein you may simply be. Why do some of us seek the solace of home and others pursue the throng? The world tends to misjudge those who love their home. Folks observe one who enjoys staying home and term them antisocial, withdrawn, even world-phobic. But for those who take comfort in their own homes, home is not a refuge from life. It's where life itself feels most tangible. Out there, in the incessant din of comparison, pressure, and performance, it's easy to lose yourself. At home, you reimagine yourself piece by piece in a place that demands nothing of you but that you be present. What if your childhood taught you how to love being alone? For some, this affection for home started in the pandemonium of childhood. Imagine the raucous classroom, the packed bus, the cacophony of voices in a crowded street, spaces that seemed like tests of survival. You had to yell to be heard, perform a particular way to be accepted, or fake a smile to appear okay. For others, those times were too much, so they went inside, creating a gentler, slower, more merciful inner world. Home was more than a location. It became a sanctuary, a refuge where the external noise of the world couldn't penetrate. Is your brain hardwired to need silence? Psychologists show us an interesting reality. People who enjoy being at home tend to possess a greater sensitivity to the stimuli of the outside world. Their minds experience the world with vibrant intensity. They might find bright lights, loud noises, and constant chatter like a tidal wave washing over them. Home's quiet isn't about concealment. It's about equilibrium. It's the nervous system sighing, "Here, I can finally rest." And in this quiet, the mind achieves balance, an opportunity to reboot after the sensory crash of the world outside. What if home is where you encounter your truest self? There is something rather holy about the aloneness of home. It's the only place you can drop the mask you present to the world, the manicured, performative you who knows just when to smile, what to say, and how to fit in. When the door closes on you, the facade dissipates and what's left is the bare, unadorned you. The one who doesn't have to impress, the one who merely exists, free from expectation or judgment. It's a silent revolt against a world that insists upon constant performance. Have you ever felt invisible in a packed room? It's a strange irony. You can spend the day with people and still feel invisible, your real self hidden under the din of social mandate. But at home, by a window and a cup of hot tea, you become visible to yourself. This is the soft alchemy of aloneness. It is not solitude. It is an intimate reunion with your own heart, a space where you can listen to your own mind without interference from the world. Why does society celebrate noise rather than stillness? We tend to glamorize extroversion, rewarding people who are never still, who are always out there, who are always doing. Silence is suspicious, quietness laziness. Yet there is quiet strength in those who find joy in solitude without loneliness. They have discovered that satisfaction isn't necessarily in the din of crowds or the stir of activity. It may be in the spaces, in the soft cadence of a life at your own speed. What is it to really go within? There's an old adage, if you don't go within, you go without. For home-loving people, going within isn't a cop-out, it's coherence. It's how they work through emotions, rebuff the overstimulation of the world, and find what's truly important again. When you're always with others, yourself gets shredded, molded by each audience you encounter. But at home, you're the only audience that matters, and there, you can stitch yourself back together. Could solitude be the secret to deeper connections? And here's the paradox. It's often the people who love their time at home who build deeper, not shallow connections. They don't spend energy on temporary surface-level connections. Rather, they look for connections where silence is as comfortable as conversation, where being present is more important than performing. They yearn for relationships where you can sit with somebody for hours, words unnecessary, and still feel heard. It's connection based on what's real, not required. What if solitude sparks your greatest ideas? Psychologists have discovered something amazing. Those who take intentional time for themselves tend to be more creative and emotionally intelligent. It's not about being smarter, it's about being introspective. In solitude, they ruminate on their feelings and don't let them overwhelm them. They watch their thoughts and don't run from them. In the silence at home, ideas germinate, clarity comes, and emotional scars heal, quietly but deeply. When were you last in a moment of real clarity? Think about your biggest realizations, those moments when life suddenly made sense. Chances are, they didn't happen at a noisy party or in a crowded cafe. They came in the shower, late at night in your room, or during a quiet walk alone. That's the hidden power of staying home. It offers your mind the silence it needs to speak clearly, to untangle the knots of the day and weave them into moments of insight. Why do homebodies feel guilty for loving their sanctuary? Ironically, many who love staying home carry a secret guilt. They worry they're missing out, that life is unfolding elsewhere and they're failing to keep up. Social media amplifies this, with its endless stream of parties, trips, and curated smiles, making homebodies feel like they're doing something wrong. But the truth is, everyone is chasing peace. For others, that tranquility can be obtained within the peaceful haven of home, away from other people's highlight reels. What if home is the secularized version of a holy retreat? There's something fundamental to being human and requiring a space to stop, to reboot, to just be. Monks used to retreat to mountains or caves in ancient times to meditate. Now we do it in warm bedrooms, reading corners, or tiny apartments with greenery and soothing music. It's the same primal need, to retreat to quiet after the turmoil. For home lovers, their sanctuary is a contemporary temple, a holy refuge where the soul can catch its breath. Why is your body lighter at home? Science provides a hint. Home is a low-stress place. When you're there, your body releases less cortisol, the stress hormone, because you don't need to defend or perform. That's why your mind feels clearer, why feelings you have suppressed all day come flooding out. It's healing masquerading as quiet, a moment when your guard comes down and the feelings you've held in finally come, ready to be heard. Is staying home a quiet revolution? Not all people get this love of home. Some will tell you you need to get out more, or you're wasting your youth. But they are missing the point. Being home is not about accomplishing nothing. It's where some of the deepest growth occurs, through reading, reflecting, journaling, or dreaming. These are revolutions that take place behind closed doors. Homebodies are not hiding from the world. They are training for it, recharging so they can emerge with calm rather than chaos. What is it about routine that is so comforting? The brain hungers for predictability, it eases anxiety. For homebodies, routine is holy. Knowing where things are, moving through a familiar landscape, provides a rhythm that calms the mind. Each tiny ritual, lighting a candle, making the same morning coffee, tells the nervous system, you're safe now. It isn't monotony, it's emotional regulation, a gentle anchor in an overwhelming world. Why does quiet feel like rebellion? In a productivity-obsessed culture, opting for stillness is a radical act. We are conditioned to believe that value is in being seen, doing, accomplishing. But homebodies defy that script. They demonstrate that value can be found in stillness, in observing the rain on the window or considering who you're becoming. It's a gentle pushback against the notion that movement is worth. What flower grows in the silence of aloneness? Give yourself time alone and your imagination starts to grow. You begin to notice the connections others don't see, the poetry in everyday moments. The sunlight spilling across a wall, the dance of dust in the air, the sound of laughter through thin walls. There's a slower, fuller happiness in these moments, one that doesn't have to be captured or shared. It's beauty that belongs to you alone. Why does silence sound like music to some? For homebodies, silence isn't empty, it's alive. It's the sound of just being enough, a melody of self-acceptance. Where others hear silence as heavy, like a punishment, homebodies listen to it as music. It's the rhythm of their thinking, the cadence of their breathing, the harmony of a life authentically lived. What if the world is too much because you feel too much? There is a contradiction in those who love home. They're usually perceived as withdrawn, yet actually, they experience life more deeply. Each chat, each look, each change in vibe leaves its imprint. When the world becomes too cacophonous, their withdrawal is not fear but self-preservation. They safeguard their serenity not to withdraw from life, but to live it more intensely. How do you feel like your home expresses you? Ask someone to look around one's home and one sees the soul. Some surround their place with light, music, and plants that stretch towards the sun. Others like to have dark corners, cozy blankets, and the ghost of coffee or candles. Every house is a mirror, coziness for the introverts, comfort for the daydreamers, tidiness for the thinkers. They construct private worlds within those walls, out of sight but intense. What makes solitude spark creativity? Psychologists discover that people who love being alone tend to excel at individuality, compassion, and creativity. By themselves, they hear the voice within without editing or interruption. Constant companionship molds ideas to meet other people's expectations, yet isolation allows them to naturally expand. That's where innovation starts, in the unjudged area of your own mind. What did Virginia Woolf understand about the strength of a room? Virginia Woolf herself wrote, "A woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction." But this is true of all of us. We require a space, physical or in the heart, to know ourselves. Great artists, writers, and thinkers have all adored solitude, not because they avoided people, but because they required space to fight with their thoughts, to dream, to create. When does loneliness become a reflection of your soul? Loneliness can be painful. Without diversion, thoughts become amplified, sometimes uncomfortably so. That's why some shun it. The quiet mirrors what they've been avoiding. But those who indulge come to discover a potent secret. Peace is not the silence of thought, but the acceptance of it. Sitting with your feelings, observing them rise and fall, is emotional maturity in its most unadulterated state. Why is comfort with being alone a sign of strength? Psychology explains that individuals who are at ease with being alone tend to possess a greater sense of self. They are less influenced by peer pressure, less dependent on others' opinions, and more directed by their own principles. In silence, they come to identify their voice above the noise of the world. That is where wisdom develops, in the quiet corners where you can hear yourself. What is the loneliness of homebodies? Even home lovers experience loneliness, but it is not hollow. It's an ache for connection that is genuine, not superficial. They prefer to be by themselves rather than with those that leave them feeling invisible. That is not pride, those are discernments. When they get to know the right people, they love deeply, giving attention with care and trust gradually, forging connections that last. What if home is a refuge for the weary? Sometimes the love of home comes from exhaustion, not peace. Tired of being misunderstood, tired of wearing masks that don't fit, some find home as the one place where performance isn't required. Psychologists call this emotional decompression, the moment when you walk through the door, lie down, and let everything you've held in drop away. It's not laziness, it's healing. Why do homebodies feel so much? Homebodies tend to have a greater empathy, soaking up other people's moods like sponges. They pick up on subtle changes in tone, posture, energy, things most miss. It's a blessing, but it's draining. Stepping home helps them recharge, coming back into the world more peaceful, more gentle, clearer, ready to meet with intention. What if you're wired for a quieter rhythm? Remaining home isn't a choice, it's a rhythm of personality. There are some who thrive on noise, movement, engagement, and there are others who bloom on order, stillness, and contemplation. Neither is better, they're simply alternate ways of existing as human. And yet, in a universe that celebrates motion, the quiet ones find themselves misplaced. In reality, they're simply attuned to a softer frequency. Why does the world require both the boisterous and the still? There's elegance to this balance. The world requires the reflectors and chasers, the explorers and observers. Home lovers tend to become the listeners, converting chaos into sense, noise into story. Writers, philosophers, and artists tend to feel most themselves at home, not fleeing the world but sensing it profoundly, converting loneliness into creativity and quiet into understanding. Why is home a canvas for your mind? For those who love home, it is an extension of their mind, a material canvas for their thoughts. Every aspect holds meaning: a favorite cup, a well-loved book, a corner that carries memories. Home is where life is filtered, where emotions unspoken elsewhere find room to breathe. It's a psychological imperative, a place to land safely after being too many versions of ourselves. Why does embracing stillness require courage? There is something holy in opting for stillness over spectacle. It is a form of bravery to turn down the noise, to value invisibility. In that silence, authenticity unfolds. You exist to express, not impress. Life is a conversation, not a competition, and those previously constrictive walls begin to feel like wings, elevating you toward a truer sense of self. What if home is where you reimagine the world? People who enjoy staying at home aren't avoiding life, they're living it in a different way. They see, feel, and respect life at a slower pace and create a world within themselves that is human. When they go out, they bring with them a precious gift: inner peace. Having experienced peace within themselves, they no longer crave it amidst chaos. They bring home with them a quiet force that centers them wherever they are. Why can you never apologize for loving your haven? Don't apologize if you love being at home. Don't let the world persuade you that peace is inefficiency or comfort is laziness. You're not missing the party. You're tuning in, doing the internal work the majority of people don't. In a world in search of meaning, the quiet ones discover it sooner, not among throngs, but in the gentle cadence of everyday days, the comfort of morning light, the tenderness of evening rain, the steady throb of your own heart in a room that feels like home. What is it that makes home more than just a place? The house isn't a structure. It's a reflection of peace hard-earned through patience, presence, and authenticity. It's where you encounter yourself over and over until you find yourself never alone. You were just returning to yourself. Some people think staying home is giving up on life, but sometimes it means you've finally stopped running from yourself. What if happiness doesn't require an audience? There is a deep serenity in releasing the stress of pursuing every invitation, whim, or plan that threatens fun but brings exhaustion. You discover that happiness has no need for an audience. The most beautiful moments are often in quiet: the patter of rain on your window, the smell of something baking in the oven, the movement of light on your floor at 4:00 p.m. You hear things you previously overlooked, such as the serenity of your own pulse when the world seems a distance away. Why is the world guilt-tripping you for seeking quiet? But even in this tranquility, there is a quiet guilt. We are a world that identifies visibility with aliveness. You're not posting, not out, not speeding through life. What must you be doing, people think? You must be dying. But perhaps dying from their view is how you come into focus for yourself. Solitary living isn't about vanishing. It's about being without the need to perform. What if solitude is the doorway to deep connection? At home, you find solitude isn't a lack of connection. It's the basis of it. It's the reset that allows real relationships. You see that not all friendships require constant news, not every dream requires spectators, and not every day requires productivity to be meaningful. There's value in the invisible life, in moments no one applauds, in journey only you see. Why is the peaceful life the boldest decision? And perhaps that is the key. Those who prefer to stay home are not hiding from life. They're inching toward it slowly on purpose, sans noise. They're learning again what it means to just be, not to impress, not to accomplish, but to sense. Oftentimes, the most courageous thing you can do is nothing. Just sit silently in your own presence and know, finally, that you are enough.